the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and 42.8% of global GDP at purchasing power parity. The OECD is an official United Nations observer. In 1948, the OECD originated as the Organization for European Economic Cooperation, led by Robert Marjolin of France, to help administer the Marshall Plan. This would be achieved by allocating United States financial aid and implementing economic programs for the reconstruction of Europe after World War II. In 1961, the OEEC was reformed into the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and membership was extended to non-European states. The OECD's headquarters are at the Château de la Muette in Paris, France. The OECD is funded by contributions from member countries at varying rates and had a total budget of €386 million in 2019. Although the OECD does not have the power to enforce its decisions, which further require a unanimous vote from its members, it is recognized as a highly influential publisher of mostly economic data through publications as well as annual evaluations and rankings of member countries. The Organization for European Economic Cooperation was formed in 1948 to administer American and Canadian aid in the framework of the Marshall Plan for the reconstruction of Europe after World War II. Similar reconstruction aid was sent to the war-torn Republic of China and post-war Korea, but not under the name Marshall Plan. The organization started its operations on 16 April 1948. And originated from the work done by the Committee of European Economic Cooperation in 1947 in preparation for the Marshall Plan. Since 1949, it has been headquartered in the Château de la Muette in Paris, France. After the Marshall Plan ended, the OEEC focused on economic issues. In the 1950s, the OEEC provided the framework for negotiations aimed at determining conditions for setting up a European Free Trade Area, to bring the European Economic Community of the Six and the other OEEC members together on a multilateral basis. In 1958, a European Nuclear Energy Agency was set up under the OEEC by the end of the 1950s, with the job of rebuilding Europe effectively done. Some leading countries felt that the OEEC had outlived its purpose, but could be adapted to fulfill a more global mission. It would be a hard-fought task. And after several sometimes fractious meetings at the Hotel Majestic in Paris starting in January 1960, a resolution was reached to create a body that would deal not only with European and Atlantic economic issues, but devise policies to assist less developed countries. This reconstituted organization would bring the US and Canada, who were already OEEC observers, on board as full members. It would also set to work straight away on bringing in Japan, following the 1957 Rome Treaties, to launch the European Economic Community. The Convention on the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development was drawn up to reform the OEEC. The convention was signed in December 1960 and the OECD officially superseded the OEEC in September 1961. It consisted of the European founder countries of the OEEC plus the United States and Canada. The official founding members are, during the next 12 years, Japan, Finland, Australia, and New Zealand also joined the organization. Yugoslavia had observer status in the organization starting with the establishment of the OECD. Until its dissolution as a country, the OECD created agencies such as the OECD Development Center, International Energy Agency, and Financial Action Task Force on Money Laundering. Unlike the organizations of the United Nations system, OECD uses the spelling organization with an S in its name rather than organization. In 1989, after the revolutions of 1989, the OECD started to assist countries in Central Europe to prepare market economy reforms in 1990. The Center for Cooperation with European Economies in Transition was established, and in 1991, the program Partners in Transition was launched for the benefit of Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and Poland. This program also included a membership option for these countries. As a result of this, Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia as well as Mexico and South Korea, became members of the OECD between 1994 and 2000. In the 1990s, a number of European countries, now members of the European Union, expressed their willingness to join the organization. In 1995, Cyprus applied for membership, but, according to the Cypriot government, it was vetoed by Turkey. In 1996, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania signed a joint declaration expressing willingness to become members of the OECD. Slovenia also applied for membership that same year. In 2005, Malta applied to join the organization. The EU is lobbying for the admission of all EU member states. Romania reaffirmed in 2012 its intention to become a member of the organization through the letter addressed by the Romanian Prime Minister Victor Ponta to then OECD Secretary G.E.